with T.J. Walker, dissecting the communication skills and practices of world-class leaders.
Our guest today comes from the land of Hollywood, where she's learned the craft of great actors throughout the ages, and she brings that experience and expertise to help people in all persuasions become better speakers. Laurie Burton is the author of Presenting You. She has done individual one-on-one coaching sessions, workshops all over the globe, every kind of major Fortune 500 company imaginable. I'm very happy to bring her in today because she has an approach a little bit different from mine. Laurie, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. What jumped out at me is your subtitle of your book, Use Skills from the Actor's Playbook to Master the Art of Communication. I will confess, everyone has a bias. I have a bias in that I find for most of my clients, my main job is getting them to stop acting when they speak, to just stop acting scared and talk the way they do when they're having a friendly conversation. But you may have a different perspective, and that's what we want to hear about today. What can we learn from your book?
Well, it's my feeling that in order to have them stop acting scared, we got to really deal with the tension. Really look at that so they get comfortable and rooted and feeling strong when they take center stage. And if you're not dealing with that tension, it's a demon and it'll take over. So we got lots of different exercises and ways to make friends with tension, because it can become a very positive thing, or kind of a racehorse energy when you're ready to go out there. But we've got to get through the demonic part of it and get to the positive side.
And, of course, you mentioned tension. Some people think of it as fear anxieties,
yes,
butterflies in the stomach. It's just a fact. Most human beings get nervous in front of some audience. Now, you may speak every day to 100 people, but all of a sudden, if you're in front of 1,000, you get really nervous.
And so, you never know what's going to tick you in a particular direction. Just some small thing can make everything just go in the wrong direction. You know, I've had that happen on so many interviews, and when I was acting, you have to be prepared for everything.
So let's hop right in with some quick tips. What's a good actor tip that non-actors can use even in a business situation?
Well, it's my feeling that what we do is an exploration of your ability to express your passion, your energy, animation, and confidence under any circumstances. But we have to be able to embody the words we speak with, and first of all, energy, because it's my feeling that the first thing people are reading in you when you walk across the stage or stand up at a meeting table or just simply speak for the first time, before you speak, before you speak, they're reading your energy. That's the first thing they see. You walk across the stage, they're getting your energetic output, and if it's not there sustaining you and your positive point of view, and you're walking across the stage in a kind of a fearful manner, the audience can read it right away.
And let's break that down. Energy is somewhat of an abstract term, but if someone is walking with their head down, clutching paper, with their shoulders rounded forward, those are highly tangible things that someone could observe and correct. Right.
But I have a point of view called crossing the imaginary line. There's a line that separates us from our audience, whether it's one-on-one. We're walking across the stage and there's 1,000 people out there. There's a line that's separating us. And it's our job as a speaker to cross that line with our energy, animation, and our passion, so that they'll be interested in what we're saying. And it's in the job of the speaker to keep that going through the whole speech. Otherwise, you're behind that line and it gets boring, and we've all seen that. So,
well, of course, that's the biggest problem most speakers have. It's not that they forget what to say or they break out in flop sweat. In my view, it's just that they're so boring, nobody remembers anything they said.
Right. So I work hard on making the connections with the words we're speaking and making sure you've got the energy number one, and then the passion and the animation to go with it, and the emotions behind the words. So I work with a piece of, actually a letter written from Martha Graham to Agnes DeMille years ago. And
Martha, for those of our listeners who don't know all the
yes.
nuances, Martha Graham, the famed dance impresario?
Yes, and Agnes DeMille, the Broadway choreographer. They were friends. And I'll give you just a couple of lines in it because it goes, there's a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there's only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. But if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and it'll be lost. The world will not have it. So if people really understand the meaning of this is about the individual and what's so special about them. If they don't project it and share it with the world, it'll be lost. So I start my seminars or individuals work with those few lines and have work on have them saying the word, there's a vitality. There's a vitality. How boring you've got to embody the meaning of the word. And so we work on where that lives in that person and how to bring it forward, that energy and passion.
The book is Presenting You. Our special guest today is Laurie Burton. You can find out more about her training programs, her upcoming webinars by going to Laurie, that's Laurie.
Thank you.
Burton, Burton, training.com. Laurie, thanks for being our guest today. Okay, so Laurie, now we go to the part of the show, and we're still doing this live, where we sort of analyze what we just did. That was kind of a typical 7-minute interview. Be lucky to get that on the Today Show or Good Morning America. Mm-hmm. Now we like to go into the show where we sort of analyze how we promote what it is we do. How do we promote our products and services when we're doing that highly specialized type of presentation of a media interview? How do you typically like to promote your book, and what was your goal in doing this first segment of our interview?
Oh, just to have people try and understand what I'm doing and how I do it. That was because it's a different way of thinking about speaking and presenting yourself. It really comes from the inside out. You know, it really has to do with how you feel and how you express yourself. And if it doesn't fit, then let's try and change it and really find a new way to get to how you feel and how you express yourself. It goes deep. This work is deep. And as for the marketing part, that's the other part of the question, wasn't it?
Yes. How do you decide when you write a book? And it's not an 800-page book, but it's certainly a lot more content than you can talk about in 7 minutes. How do you decide what part of it to focus on when you go into an interview? Because by definition, almost any interview you do, you have to ignore 99% of what's in your book.
Yeah. I focus on the energy and the emotion and the passion. Those are, if you come out there make your entrance with carrying that part of you and it's evident and the audience zeroes in on it, you've got them. You've got them. All you have to walk across it with a smile on your face that says that I am a passionate and I'm ready to really express myself and have a good time with you all. But
now
go ahead.
You are a part of the acting and movie world. Have you worked, and you don't have to mention the names if it's confidential, but have you worked with major celebrities before their acceptance speeches, for example, at Academy Awards, Golden Globes, that sort of thing?
No, I haven't. But I've worked with some very interesting people actors. None of them have been nominated that I can remember. I mean, Pierce Bronson. Elvis was my first movie, and that was quite an experience.
And what did you do there?
There were about 6 women that were a part of he was a trainer at a spa, a retreat kind of place, and I had a few lines. It was my very first part. I sat on his lap and he sang a song to me. I was picked from one of the girls, and that was really fun. That was really fun.
I bet your friends were jealous at the time. Yes. I mean, some of our listeners are like, "Who's Elvis?" But I'm old enough to know he was.
Goodness, you're right.
He was the most famous person in the world.
Yeah. So, Academy Award speeches. No, I haven't worked on any of those. But CEOs and those kinds of. Yes, definitely.
How would you rate Elvis as a speaker? His musical career was wildly fantastic, unfortunately cut short by his untimely death. But his acting career had more middling reviews, shall we say.
Yeah.
Do you think he had more potential? Was that just a matter of his manager trying to play it safe and easy all the time?
And he got sick of exactly what you're just talking about, and was never given the chance to really see if he could get sink his teeth into a role. I don't know if he had it if he was that talented. I don't know why not, but we'll never know. But he was sensitive and loving and very sweet. So and I'm sure a lot of pain. We heard a lot about his pain, his mother, and that's that part of his life. But we never had a chance to really see it. I mean,
now you say he kind of got sick of it. When you say movie acting in general, my first thought, frankly, is making a movie is incredibly boring because you're maybe saying the same line for 3 days, sitting around in trailers. A lot of it, again, my perception as an outsider, I've done commercials and a few things, nothing significant, is part of it is just you have to have tremendous patience to even say the same line again and again and again, as if you cared about it.
Of course, you're doing that every night if you're in a play as well, and it's the actor's job to... I studied method acting for 12 years, and well, it's just part of my being. But if you're really invested in a choice that you're making relating to the scene you're doing, it would come out different every time you do it. And that's the hope of the method and the way I work and method actors work, that you never know how it's going to come out. It won't be the same. And that's what you're looking for, that you find those moments just come in. When I say a choice, it's like if I'm doing a scene with a father who's dying, my choice for that might be my real father and how it was when he died. And you use that to fulfill the meaning of the scene. It's very...
So, Laurie, you mentioned how critical it is to have energy. I couldn't agree more. There's a certain energy that great speakers have, as well as great actors. But there are some differences. There's certain things you could see someone do on the stage, the projection, maybe the larger-than-life characteristics, that if they did it giving a presentation to the board of directors in front of 5 people sitting down, would seem contrived and phony. How do you separate that divide? For you, where is that line? Well, what works on the stage doesn't work in a business presentation.
It's just having knowing where the energy resides in your body and how much you have to push and how much you don't, so that you're so facile with your instrument, the instrument being your body. And I have a whole chapter on how to play it, whether it's in tune or out of tune. And we're doing this. This is our instrument. We with our eyes and our voice and our face get to express it and play it throughout the day however we want. So if we're in control and know how it works, we can pull back and still have some energy, but we know how it looks and feels, and that's the process that people go through when they work with me, that they're really in touch with what works, and that's going to be over the top, I got to pull it back. But I saw you do an energy exercise on one of your I watched one of your speeches, and you had the audience notice where their energy was. You recall?
I've done so many videos, I forgot.
Well, you did work with their energy, so I have them do something similar. I have them just freeze where they are in the audience, and most of them are just, how they are, how an audience is, and all the different kinds of body that looks that you get what they're doing with their body when they're watching you. So I have them freeze, and then I ask them to adjust it. Come out of the freeze and adjust it and send it forward, the energy forward to me in their face and their eyes and their bodies. Just adjust it arbitrarily and send all their energy to me. And it's amazing. It works great. And our
special guest is Laurie Burton. You can find out more about her at laurieburtontraining.com. You're listening to TJ Walker, and this is my program. I appreciate you spending time with us. Please like the show on Facebook. Please subscribe to it on iTunes. Please leave a review. All of those things are very much appreciated. Laurie, I want to go deeper and really have you share some of your top secret tips on how to make people more relaxed, more comfortable. It's certainly a question I get all the time. My standard piece of advice, I'm convinced, is 100% effective. It's just that people won't do it. My piece of advice is if you're nervous about speaking, keep practice on video, watch it, keep doing it until you love what you see. It then becomes impossible to be nervous. But that's only one approach, and frankly, most people won't do it. So I want to hear more tips from you, practical, specific tips on how people can be less anxious, less nervous before giving speeches and presentations.
Well, it's you're saying to practice on their own in front of their video camera.
Yes.
Or
cell phone.
Or cell phone or whatever. And my point of view is the minute you walk out and you're on, the pressure is on, you have to perform in front of the audience or the board or whatever it is that moment has a whole different energy to it, and it can hit you and paralyze you, and when you don't even realize it's coming. So you've got to be aware and able to make friends again when that tension hits you. It's kind of like, oh my God, okay, I feel it. My legs have begun to shake. Okay, I'm going to take it. Go ahead.
So walk me through your process. Let's imagine the Academy Awards are tomorrow night. I have replaced Tom Cruise as the star in Mission Impossible. I've been nominated for Best Actor. All the odds makers have me as the favorite to win. I've got 24 hours. I'm scared out of my mind. I'm petrified. I come to you. Mm-hmm. How do you help me get ready for this acceptance speech?
First of all, the walk up and then taking center stage. Again, people, while they're walking across the stage, are allowing the tension to hit. Mine is acknowledging it in your head. Oh God, my heart is pounding. They're all staring at me. I got to breathe. I got to remember this feels. I'm here. This feels good. Calm down. Oh God, now my legs are shaking. Breathe. Okay, I feel you. Okay, I'm here. I'm in the spot. I'm going to try and speak now and acknowledge the fact that I encourage people to say, whoa, this makes me a little tense up here on this stage. But it's wonderful to be in front of you, and it feels really good, so that you acknowledge the exterior and the interior process that's going on. So, because again, if you're not acknowledging that tension, it's going to take over. Okay,
well, that certainly sounds like something I should be thinking about. And I'll contact you when I do get nominated for the Academy Awards. But also, since I'm not an actor, that's unlikely to happen.
Also, to start the process before you go on stage or before you give the speech is to do tension release exercises. I have where you tense up your whole body really tight, and let it go. And it really releases a lot of pent-up impulses that have built up. You know what I'm talking about? They build up inside of you, and if you really tense it up, then it goes through. You can feel the escape through your fingertips those impulses, that tension, and that really helps. There are several in the book about doing exercises to release it before you make the entrance or before you sit at the table and talk to whomever it is. Just, but even if in a sitting area, around a table, you can acknowledge the tension and where it is in your body internally, but not letting it take over. To try to be in charge of the tension.
All right, what else makes a speech truly memorable? I think of all the Academy Awards acceptance speeches I've seen. A few stand out, like Philip Seymour Hoffman thanking his mom, telling stories, being so personal, a little humor. Because a lot of people walk up with good energy, good poise, smile, they look comfortable and confident, and then they start thanking their accountant and their tax advisor and their lawyer's lawyer and their personal assistant. And it's not that it's awful. It's just that it's 100% boring, non-entertaining, and there's just nothing memorable about it. So, first of all, what do you think the elements are that make a great, memorable speech like that? And do you have any favorites when it comes to the best acceptance speeches for major award ceremonies? The process, what's lacking in a lot of those is they start out with their passions and where they were raised, or they're somebody who trained them, or their mother, or whatever, who they care about. And then again, you lose the passion when you go into the list of people he wants to thank. So passion is at the very core of what I teach, and how to become an expert in delving into the things that make you feel passionate. A good example is I was working with a young man at a seminar at a toy company, and he was making a big presentation in a week, and he was presenting it, and so he went through it, and it was really not good. And I said, "What are you passionate about?" And he said, "My daughter." And I said, "Do you have a picture?" And he pulled out a picture, and he started talking about his daughter. He was passionate. I said, "Okay, take that passion and now carry it over back into your speech, keeping the passion flowing if you can." So it worked. He got it. The lights went on. You could see the lights go on from the daughter, and then carrying over into his work, his speech about whatever it was he was presenting. But he learned, and the next week I heard from his boss, who said he really did a great job. But that's the secret, is our passions are a foundation for expressing our words and how we feel. And how did you make the segue from being a performer yourself to coaching, training, helping others get better at their own speaking?
I was watching a psychologist on television talking about working with lawyers and doctors and teaching them how to do a television interview. And I thought, whoa, what does she know about really being under pressure and having to recite lines or answer questions, or all different kinds of different television shows or motion pictures.
It wasn't Dr. Joy's Brothers, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Because she really does know about all that.
She does, yes.
Did.
No, but this woman was a neophyte. She had just started working in this particular area. So they were really addressing her and the person she had been working with. So I thought, well, I'm going to try that. And my girlfriend took me I was at a Women in Film Christmas party, and my girlfriend took me by the hand. She says, "I have your first client for you." I was just shaking. And it was a doctor, psychologist, and that was my first client, and that's how we started. And it's been going ever since, with a lot of corporations and all different areas of corporate life, too, which is really interesting.
Not everybody has to act, but everybody has to speak at some point in their life.
Yes.
It is a universal need and
the meaning behind the word.
Skill.
Yes. So that word, there's a vitality we gotta see the meaning of the word in your face, in your eyes, your voice.
I know when I do my YouTube videos and others and I demonstrate the best way of doing it and talk about good practices, some people like that, no doubt about it. It gets some views, some shares. But when I talk about when I personally screwed up, that always gets 10 times more views, shares, comments. So I always like to give our guests an opportunity to talk about their worst speech, their worst presentation blunder or disaster.
Oh, God. It was a National Speakers Association speech, and it was I did what it happened to me as well. I just got really tense under the pressure of doing it for them.
Because there are a lot of people with high standards there.
Yes.
I mean, I've been to their conventions,
Yes.
and you've got people who could get up and read out of the phone book
Yes.
and mesmerize the audience.
You bet. And this was a long time ago, and boy, did I learn from that.
So what happened? Did you do the proverbial just phrasing, nothing came out, and you ran off the stage?
I stumbled around for a few minutes, and then I got myself back on track, and then we had some fun with the audience came up, and we worked them through some exercises, and it started to really work a lot better, and I felt pretty good by the end. I actually viewed some film out of that interview, just with no voice, just without voice, and just watching people do things during the presentation. But oh my God, I'll never forget how I felt. That tension, how it made me just I froze, and I kept saying things, the typical freezing and saying things that you don't know what's coming out of your mouth.
It can happen to the best of us.
It has. It has.
People often assume that people like you or me, that we're just born natural speakers, and I always have to remind them, well, no, we had to learn the hard way.
Oh, I've suffered. I remember the first day I did a soap opera for a couple of years, and I remember memorizing, like 25 pages of dialogue, and having to make an entrance, and I wasn't even my feet weren't on the ground. Somehow I made that entrance, but boy, I was so tense. But as soon as I got in there, I was fine.
Now, you've done soap operas. You've been in movies with Elvis. Tell us a little more about your background in showbiz.
It's a lot of TV shows, Dynasty and Remington Steele and, oh gosh, old ones too. When I first started, like Emergency was my first TV show. So I see those every once in a while. They'll show up, and the thing I liked most a lot that was so much fun was commercials. They were great. In those days you could really make a lot of money with commercials, and going out on those, I got a lot of different commercials, and it was fun. As compared to, I remember my second movie that I did, I had a director who was hellish, who yelled and screamed when I messed up. He just so I just got more nervous and had to do a scene probably 5 or 6 times with him yelling at me. It was horrible.
Now, is that effective as a,
No.
I'm assuming a lot of different styles of presentation with directors. Some are wildly emotional. Some are quietly sharing notes off to the side.
This guy was he was one of the worst I had ever seen, and I've seen worked with Robert Altman and some really fine directors, and believe me, this was ludicrous. This was ridiculous to be so nervous and uptight, to yell at act. All it does is make you more nervous. Doesn't work at all.
So what was Robert Altman like as a director? How did he speak? Did he speak in one of those megaphones?
Oh, no.
Was he yelling?
Very gentle.
Did he speak in a whisper? How did he direct?
And just like he would talk, he was great with actors. And he had a very gentle and let you find your choice and talk to him about it. Because lots of directors don't respect the actor's process, but he really did. And he was just incredible, just very gentle. But boy, he was in charge and so creative. I don't have to, he was something.
Quite the editorial and theatrical output from Robert Altman, of course.
Goodness, yeah.
Now, the other director you mentioned who yelled and screamed at you sounds exactly like my driver's ed teacher that I had at age 15. Talk about a memorable speech. You would get in the car with him. This is in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I grew up. Uh-huh. And he would just wait for you to do one thing wrong. Oh. And then he would scream at you at the top of your lungs using obscenities. Now, since we're being broadcast in India and places where I'll get banned if I use the obscenities, I won't repeat them. But I
can imagine.
Incredibly scary as a 15-year-old driving for the first time in your life and having this person screaming hysterics at you.
It just made you feel what?
Not exactly filled with confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe I should walk for the rest of my life.
Oh, my goodness. No, those times. And interviews, readings on interviews where you just go, well, that was awful, and walk out of the room. But I always liked it when they would have us do improvisational things. I always got those jobs.
You are listening to Speaking with T.J. Walker, brought to you by Media Training Worldwide. If you have an upcoming speech, presentation, or media interview, and you're a little bit nervous or filled with anxiety, you can click in the link below in the show notes and get a free, no-cost, online public speaking training school and an online media training school. So click in the link below in the show notes or go to MediaTrainingWorldwide.com. Our special guest is Laurie Burton of LaurieBurtonTraining.com. Laurie, who are the speakers in the theatrical world, but also outside the theatrical world, you respect the most? And it doesn't have to be that you agree with their politics, but just how they speak. Who do you admire?
Well, my favorite person is Neil deGrasse Tyson, the scientist.
The astrophysicist?
Astrophysicist, yes. He embodies it all. He's so passionate about his work. And he has fun, he's animated, he's real, he's down to earth. Oh my God, I just adore him. Just adore him.
And I'll be honest with you, I've never seen him speak. I've seen him as a guest on talk shows many times, on Bill Maher's show on HBO. Mm-hmm. I've seen little snippets of his Star Talk TV show, which is also a podcast. And I have absolutely nothing negative to say about it, but I just don't have any strong impression of him as a speaker. Tell me more detail. What really stands out?
It's like,
for you?
It's being attractive to things. Everybody's so different. But as I said, it's his passion. He's so into and loving what he does, and to inspire us. He really wants to, it feels to me like he really wants us to get it and how exciting the universe is. And he's down to earth. He's very real to me. He
certainly comes across as eminently likable.
Very.
And enjoyable to be around.
Yeah, just amazing. And, I'm always drawn back to the first time I saw President Obama speak in Boston when he spoke at the Democratic Convention,
2004.
It was 2004. See, he stopped me. I was walking across the living room, and he came and he started to speak, and I was mesmerized, I thought. I listened to the whole thing, just standing in that one place, and I thought to myself, this is a black man who's going to be president. My God, he was wonderful. He was so inspirational and so animated and deep, and the qualities were, it got me. He got me. Yeah.
And who in the Hollywood world do you like and respect? Because sometimes you have an actor, or like a Warren Beatty, or Robert De Niro, great actors, but horrible when it comes to
interviews.
presenting on media interviews. And on the other hand, you have people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, not exactly known as the greatest actor, not the greatest range of accents, for example, but is a real dynamo when it comes to speaking with passion, promoting whatever it is he's doing in the media.
Yeah. I happened to go to a screening of a movie that my daughter worked on. She's a cinematographer. And it's oh my, don't tell me. All in the Norman Lear's life story. And she shot part of the interviews and a lot of the different things in the movie. And Norman was there afterwards to talk to the audience. Well, I have never, he touched me so deeply with his life story and his warmth and real, such a real, genuine, lovely man that, and he's so inspirational with his the way he speaks to people and gives himself. People came up afterwards, and he just couldn't stop relating to the people who came up to him and giving to them and talking to them, asking them questions. This is a Hollywood producer, for God's sake. I will remember him as an inspiration always. And
he's still at. I mean, he's been around since the 50s, yes. But I saw him just the other day on some show where he's trying to cast and produce a show, and everybody in it is going to be over 80 years old. He was complaining that he couldn't get funding for it. And so part of me just so impressed that a guy with this much success still wants to do the hard work of producing a TV show.
Does he really? Actually, my daughter shot the interviews with the actors when he was trying to cast it in New York. But
okay, well, I saw that wherever that was.
Yes. I'll be darned. It was the actors in that. Did you see the actors in the piece reading the dialogue?
Yes.
Were they wonderful? They were so
fantastic. But there's also a part of me thinking that, wow, he's so successful. Plus, he's got to be so incredibly rich. How could he not either get people to fund him or just write a check himself out of pocket change to make something like that?
Well, he's got, I think, I don't know the story of that one. He does have another one on I don't know the channel, which is carrying, but he does have another story, a family show on with a Spanish or a Latino family. But I don't know, I've forgotten the name of it, but it's on now. They're shooting it.
Anyone else that you really respect? It could be in the world of politics, media, physics, for that matter, as we've discussed. Hollywood, who you think is just a great speaker consistently and someone that other people can learn from.
George Clooney, he's so relaxed. He gets up there and he's passionate, he's simple, he's real, and he's caring and loving when he talks about these things that he's interested in. Being that handsome doesn't hurt either. People go, oh, I'm going to listen to you because he's so gorgeous, handsome fellow. But it just isn't all looks. He has a depth to him that it's important.
And certainly Winston Churchill was not instantly noticed as the most handsome man of World War II, but did not hurt his communication. Clooney's an interesting case, having grown up in the household of a professional news anchor.
Yeah.
And really being in a world immersed in non-theatrical communication from the time he was born.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you on that case.
Yeah. And another one, a female, would be Dame, what's her name? Oh, dear.
Name her movie.
She played Queen Elizabeth, the present Elizabeth.
Kate Blanchett?
No, the present Queen Elizabeth. I think it was called Laurie.
I know who you're talking about. I see. There's a clip of her from an interview in 1972 that was just everywhere on Facebook yesterday. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Well, she was in
Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. She's such a great combination. She's sexy. She's very astute and worldly and womanly, and when she takes stage, she owns it. I just adore her, and she's not young anymore, but she's very beautiful and as I said, sexy and sensual. I just really have a lot of respect for her.
And she was in Caligula. I mean, she'd been around a long time when she was the young
Excalibur.
The pretty young thing, and she's in, I believe, late 60s or early 70s now.
Yeah.
And I do think it shows that if you have passion, if you are a strong communicator, doesn't mean you're going to be a Hollywood star, but it does mean you can be a great communicator at absolutely any age.
Yeah, any age. Absolutely.
Laurie Burton, thank you so much for being our guest. If you'd like to learn more about her and her programs, go to laurieburtontraining.com. That's LaurieBurton training.com, and you can click on the link in the show notes as well. The book is Presenting You, and I'll link to the place on Amazon where you can purchase that. Act quickly. She has an upcoming webinar. It's it's called Personality Workshop?
Workout.
Personality Workout.
Yep.
Her upcoming webinar, you'll find out more information there. Laurie, thanks again. I'm TJ Walker.
Thanks for listening to Speaking with TJ Walker, where the communication skills and practices of world-class leaders are dissected.